Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Apocaflix Movies. This is our movie watching challenge. However, you may notice it's a little bit different. And that's because we as a crew decided that when we do these movie watching challenges, we're going to have not only the person who challenges the individual to watch whatever movie they haven't seen, but they're going to accompany the person watching the movie on these videos, and hopefully it leads to more of a interesting conversation, where we can, lead off and kind of, bounce off each other. So my name is Gio, and last week I challenged Mr. Brian Avalosino here to Nightcrawler, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, directed by Tony Gilroy, I believe. One of the Gilroys. Yep. No, Dan Gilroy. Excuse me. I stand corrected. Dan Gilroy. So what I'm going to do now is pass it off to Brian just to give some of his thoughts, and then I'll ask some questions along the way. Brian, Nightcrawler, your opinion and your thoughts after watching Nightcrawler for the first time.
Okay, so this was one of the movies I've been wanting to get challenged to for a long time. I was very excited that it landed on the Wild because then there was no other option but to choose this one. This is finally the time for Nightcrawler, and I was not disappointed because this movie was wild, and I had no idea it was anything like this. At first, the way it started, I was like, oh no, I'm not going to like this movie. I have a hard time with movies that feel like they've kind of like, you've started the story like 20% in. Like it kind of almost feels like the movie had already gone a little bit and then you kind of just jumped in. So I typically have a hard time getting into those movies. Not in this case. This movie, I caught myself very much like, oh, my phone hasn't been off. Or I haven't like looked at my phone for a while. And I'm like,
nice.
Oh, Jake Gyllenhaal is fantastic in this. And now I completely understand why you guys always talk about this being like maybe his best. He's just so like scummy and creepy, and it's Rene Russo, right? That was
the news director.
Yeah, she was great too, because like she's kind of like just as scummy and creepy, but like in a different way. They both have like these like questionable morals, if you will, and then the ending was just like
they're kind of an odd pair, but they fit together.
And it's very much like an odd pair that don't work well together but need each other to get where they need to go. The ending, I was just like, what is going on? Wild. Just seeing like how it got set up and certain things and him leaving certain things out in order to get his story. And I'm like, dude, this guy is so scummy, but it's like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah, speaking of that ending, we'll circle back, but there was kind of a moment where with Jake Gyllenhaal's character, you had some hope. Like, okay, maybe he genuinely cares about this guy played by Riz Ahmed, who was excellent in the movie. But then you're reminded once again, like in the beginning of the movie, this guy will inflict pain, if not set you up to
die.
Pay the ultimate price. Yeah, die. I mean, how crazy was that third act? But let's take it back though, because to your point, you said going into the movie and the movie starts right away, right? I mean, he's stealing a barbed wire, metal fence to make some money. Guy catches him, he kicks his ass, and I don't know if he kills him. I can't remember, but
I don't think so. I think he just beat his face in.
And then from that point on, he's very much like a leech. He wants to go and take advantage of something and suck all the potential out of it, and for his own sake. Like I said, very performance driven. He clearly lost some weight for this role, right? A lot of his performance, I mean, just the eyes, when he's staring into the other character's soul, and
there's just nothing there. It was just blank.
Yeah. And then how'd you feel about the late Bill Paxton in there kind of being his competitor?
And then what happened to him, I was just like, okay. Like every time you ended up being like, oh, or liking a person, they would get screwed over or something would happen to them. It was wild. There were so many times where just something would happen. And it's like, oh my God, what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. And for myself, I saw a little bit of a kind of an underlying message in this movie about, media and
Mhm.
news and, journalism nowadays, how they really don't care. They want the top story. They
Yeah.
want to feed you fear. They're willing to twist the story, and whatever narrative gets the most viewings or clicks or whatever. Did you see that?
Yeah, the thing that really got me the most, that I was just like, "Oh my god," is like when the two newscasters are giving the newscast and Rene Russo's telling them like more drama, emphasize they got away,
Mhm.
emphasize their danger. Like I'm just sitting there like,
All
you
the
really have
runs still loose. Yeah.
yeah, you really have no idea. I never thought about that someone's feeding them stuff in their ear like that to make it like
Oh yeah.
scarier or something. It's freaking wild. It was a wild movie.
For sure. I'm so glad you enjoyed it, man. I think it's one of the best movies of the past decade, and it's
It's one
not
of the
always
best
a hit
movies
with
I've been
Brian.
challenged to. I'll say that.
Good, good. And now you see more of because you and I were, and especially you, big fan of Andor, and now
Mhm,
you get to see a little bit of what these
mhm.
guys did, both Dan Gilroy and Tony Gilroy, who produced this movie. They're brilliant storytellers, man, and brilliant writers. They can really, feed these incredible actors some juicy content and give them stuff to work with. So there you have it, guys. Brian Avellino is a fan of
Thumbs
Nightcrawler.
up.
There you go. If you've seen Nightcrawler and you share the same opinion, let us know in the comments. And if not, we're open to discussion. We enjoy reading your comments and having a conversation with you guys. And of course, you can find out who gets challenged next on our Apocaflix Now shows that happen every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So I'm sure Brian has a nice surprise in store for somebody in the Apocaflix crew. And that's going to do it. Give us feedback on this new thing we're doing with the movie watching challenge and having two people on, the challenger and the challengee. We love to hear from you. And until the next video, you guys take care.